Okay, let's break down one of the most important and honestly most misunderstood concepts in all of finance. We're talking about a tool that promises to take this immense, chaotic world of risk and boil it down to a single number. But as we're about to see, that beautiful simplicity, well, it hides a really dangerous illusion.
I mean, think about it. This is the central question for every huge bank, every trading firm on the planet. You've got countless positions all over the world moving every second. How on earth do you get one single picture of what you might lose? The answer they came up with completely changed the game in finance.
And that answer is a metric called value at risk, or VaR for short. You can immediately see the appeal, right? It seems so precise. It's a way to take this absolute hurricane of data and distill it down into one deceptively simple figure.
But right here, this is where the danger kicks in. Because what most people think that number means is just flat out dangerously wrong. It can create this powerful illusion of safety, a false feeling that your risk is all wrapped up and contained.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. The myth, on the left, is that VaR is a worst-case number. It's a wall. It's the most you can possibly lose. But the reality, on the right, is so different. It's not a wall. It's more like a line in the sand. It doesn't tell you the most you can lose. It just tells you the loss you'll probably stay under on most of your normal bad days. It is a threshold, not a ceiling.
So let's get just a little technical for a second. VaR is what's called a statistical threshold. So if you have a 99% VaR of $10 million, that does not mean you can only lose $10 million. It means that on 99 out of 100 days, you should expect to lose less than $10 million. But what about that one other day? Well, on that day, the model is telling you to expect a loss of more than $10 million.
So here's the absolute crucial point you have to get. VaR tells you a lot about the 99% of outcomes, but it is completely, deafeningly silent about what happens on that terrifying 1% of days. The second you cross that VaR threshold, the model gives you zero information, absolutely nothing about how bad things could really get.
And this really gets to the core problem, doesn't it? By focusing so much on what's probable, VaR creates this massive blind spot, and it's right where the biggest, most catastrophic dangers are lurking. We're talking about the tail of the distribution.
This chart makes it so clear. Look at the bar on the left. Let's say that represents the losses inside your VaR limit. Those are your normal bad days. Now look at the bar on the right. That shows what can happen when you go past that limit. The average loss on those few terrible days can be catastrophically larger, and VaR gives you no clue that it's coming.
This is the multi-trillion-dollar question, isn't it? And it's the one that VaR simply cannot answer. It basically defines the edge of the map, but it tells you nothing about the dragons that lie just beyond it. And this massive weakness is what led risk managers to search for a better, more complete tool.
And that better tool is called expected shortfall, or ES. You can think of it as a serious upgrade to VaR, one that was designed specifically to peer into that dark, dangerous blind spot.
So if VaR asks, how bad can things get on a normal bad day? Expected shortfall asks a totally different and frankly much scarier question. Okay, when things get really bad, what's our average loss going to look like? So you see the difference? VaR is a boundary. ES is what's called a tail expectation. It's built to measure the severity of those truly awful outcomes.
Okay, so how should we really be thinking about these tools? The key insight from our source material is to see them as diagnostic gauges on a dashboard, not as some kind of impenetrable safety barrier. Their real power isn't about prediction at all. It's about something else entirely.
Right. Their job is not to predict the future. They are not crystal balls. The proper way to use VaR and ES is for constraint enforcement. What does that mean? It means they're there to enforce discipline, to stop you from building up too much exposure right now, in the present. They are tools to help you ask the right questions about your portfolio today.
And this is so important. A VaR breach doesn't mean your model failed. In fact, you should expect occasional breaches. A breach is a signal. It's a little red flag telling you that a low probability event just happened. The right response isn't to panic. It's to investigate. Why did this happen? Did something fundamentally change in the market?
This table sums it all up beautifully. You can see their different roles. VaR is a threshold. It helps define the boundary between what's normal and what's extreme. Expected shortfall, on the other hand, is a diagnostic tool that tries to measure the danger waiting for you beyond that boundary. Both are useful, but you have to know they answer fundamentally different questions.
But in the end, we have to face their single greatest limitation.
These tools can create what's called an illusion of control. They measure risk based on a whole set of assumptions about how the world works, but they tell you nothing about what happens when those assumptions completely break down. They're like scissors just trimming the very tip of the iceberg, completely ignoring the massive danger hidden right below the surface.
And that brings us to maybe the most important takeaway from our source material. This quote, well, it says it all. The biggest blow-ups, the ones that make history, they don't happen a little bit past the VaR number. They happen when the world stops behaving the way the model assumes it will.
And that really leaves us with a final, provocative question to think about. Is your framework for understanding risk just measuring the comfortable, statistically normal dangers, or is it forcing you to confront the real, model-breaking risks that are lurking just out of sight? Because at the end of the day, confusing those two things, well, that's the most dangerous risk of all.